subscribers. I got so many new subscribers. We thank you from the bottom of our little brick New York hearts. Thank you for being here. If it's your first time, thank you again. Hello. If you want to support the show because we are popping, or you want to support my birthday, you guys can cash at me at On the Block with Jen. Very easy to find. I'm On the Block with Jen across all social media platforms. On the Block with Jen at my Gmail, and On the Block with Jen at Cash App. So if you're catching the replay, you want to holler at your girl for my birthday tomorrow, hit me on the Cash App, or you can super chat me. Either way, tonight's going to be an interesting conversation.
I'm kind of upset with you right now.
Why?
Because I wish I had a little bit more time. I had some exhibits, A, B, C through Z, and 1, 2, 3 on this topic.
Really? What you mean, like videos or like posts?
Videos and posts, both. Because I see this all day. But go on. I'm so glad we're discussing this.
Hold on. So we can always revisit. Sorry, you guys. I'm chewing. I have when I eat something salty, I have to get some sweet. I have to run downstairs and get some of my cornbread that I baked, bitch. Okay, so welcome everyone. The names are on the board. We all have social media. If you're more curious about us and what we do a lot. We're in the entertainment business. You want to go check us out? Hit those names on the board on Instagram and TikTok, what have you, and on YouTube. Okay, guys, so Dr. Umar Johnson, although people were telling me not to call him a doctor because he's not a real doctor, but then I asked, does he have a doctorate?
Yes, he has a doctorate. He could be called a fucking doctor.
Okay, so, all right, so then it's like, you know us, we respect the rank, even if we don't like the man or the woman.
He has a doctorate in psychology. You see, this is why Google is such a misused and missed opportunity. Something as beautiful as Google, but in the hands of humanity, that shit is fucking useless. Like anything that's beautiful. You know what I mean? It takes you 5 seconds to ask, is Dr. Umar a real doctor? Why, yes, he has a doctorate degree in psychology. Boom.
Right,
but just because you don't like someone doesn't mean that you can.
Yeah, it doesn't take away their credits from them.
Right. They did what they did. The truth is the truth. So it could be true, your reasons for not liking this person, but it can also be true that his ass is a doctor. So let's go with that.
Absolutely.
I have to agree with that because I was like, when he said that in the comments, I was like, but doesn't he have a doctorate? And then I did Google, but this person doesn't like him. So he was like, he's not a real doctor. And I was like, well, technically he can use the doctorate title, which is fine.
But they're idiots. They don't understand. They think that only doctors that with the lab coat did it, but they don't understand that he could be the HR supervisor. So and be a doctorate. They don't get that.
A doctorate is a doctorate. It's just that we are often familiar with a doctorate of medicine, someone who has a PhD in medicine. Someone can have a PhD in physics. Someone could have a PhD in some form of science. Somebody could have a PhD in physiology. PhD is a PhD. It's just considered the highest form, the highest area of a particular, subject. The motherfuckers would know that if they read or could read.
So, the biggest hit of the week was Dr. Umar Johnson on the Joe Budden podcast, specifically his War of Words with Ish, who's a co-host on Joe Budden podcast. In my opinion, he's the standout star of the Joe Budden podcast because he's the one that everybody talks about. He's the one that stands out. Well, even though there's a woman on the show, Ish stands out above everybody else aside from Joe Budden, right? Honestly, Joe Budden and Ish could have a show on their own.
Seriously.
And it'd be just as popping.
Everybody fades into the background to me. Like dead ass. And then to me it seems like musical chairs or pop-up show. It's like, okay, can we guess? Have we seen this person before? Is this a new person? Is this a reoccurring person? Like, I don't know.
I agree. But I would very much enjoy just Joe and Ish on the show and not care for the no shade. I'm just saying from a marketing point of view. Those are the two people I listen to. I already know the others aren't going to say much or say anything that's impactful. So Joe and Ish, they them dudes over there. So Ish and Umar got into verbal fisticuffs. I thought that it was an interesting debate. Haran, you saw way more than me. You saw 3 hours of it, right? Or close to 3 hours of it. Did you see part two yet?
I saw some of part two. I didn't even finish that shit. That shit, everything wrapped up is close to shit. That shit's close to over 4 hours.
Right?
It's
Yeah,
close to 5 hours.
Yeah, almost 5 hours. And the first one, it was on Patreon for $5, but then the clips of the first one blew up, and then Joe hit everybody with $10 for part two.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay,
Joe made a grip.
Oh, he made a grip. So that's how good the show is doing, and that's how good the exchange between Dr. Umar Johnson and Ish was. That's how good the exchange was. That he bumped up the money, the fee. So, what do you guys think? Something that was said by Umar Johnson, or something I said here a while back about how I feel about Eminem and how a lot of black men suck Eminem, so they throw Eminem in the top 10 or the top 5 best rappers of all time. I thought it was blasphemy, right? Because rap is predominantly black, created by black people. And so to put Eminem in the top 5 or top 10, you guys heard me say it here before, and I'm trying to get the clip. I didn't have time to get the clip today, but I just thought it was blasphemy. And a lot of black men had an issue with me saying that. A lot of them, a lot of black men had an issue with me saying that. Similarly, people had issue with Dr. Umar saying that, right? And I'm with him 100% on this. Something that was created by black people. I don't think there could ever be another race or even ethnicity that you can say is the top, whatever. That's just my opinion. A lot of people may disagree. No, Eminem is the greatest. No, he's not. Now, if you want to say Eminem is the greatest white rapper of the white rappers, now we talking. Now you got my full attention. If you throw in, MC Search or Vanilla Ice or MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, or and you want to say that he's the best in that group, I would absolutely agree with you, hands down. I would absolutely agree with you. But to throw him in the mix, when you think about black rappers, there are about 50 that were phenomenal that you could put in the top 5 or top 10 before you even touch an Eminem. That was my opinion. So therefore, I agree with Umar 110%. I agree with Umar Johnson 110%. But black men, they love their Eminem. They love them some Eminem. And I said before, I like him as a rapper, but I always thought he was like the carrot top of rap.
Yeah,
It's
like very caricature, very animated. Harlem Globetrotter.
Thank you. That's a great comparison for us older folk. Mm-hmm. That's how I saw him. I've never heard Eminem and felt impacted, right? I like some of his songs. I think, him and Twista went at it. I still think Twista won, but, him and Twista went at it, right? But still, I always found him very much an entertainer of rap. Harlem Globetrotter, Carrot Top. What Carrot Top is the comedy, with the Harlem Globetrotters are to basketball. And that's how I saw him, right? He was fun, right? The Weird Al Yankovic of hip hop. That was my opinion. So I agree with Umar Johnson, but a lot of people went for Umar's head, and he did a whole half-hour rant. I only saw about 3 minutes of it. I'm gonna go back and watch the rest of it. It's on Twitter, so I didn't get to see it. But I'm sure he said some more stuff I agree with, right? But do I agree 100% with everything people say? Absolutely not. But I'm not even going to call Umar Johnson a broke clock. A broke clock is right twice a day, right? I think he's right more than that. That's why I won't call him a broke clock. Right. I think he's right a lot more than that. Even if I don't agree with everything, he's a lot more right than a lot of people want to give him credit for. And he's also a very intelligent man. So that's always fun to watch. But what do you guys think about, people going at him for the Eminem thing?
You know what? I think it's, go ahead, Haran.
My history of listening to Eminem goes back to like the Stretch and Bobbito days. Like This is like maybe a year or two before he even came out. You know what I mean? And I thought he was dope. I didn't know he was fucking white at the time. You know what I mean? And then he got involved with like Raucous Records and so on. And I was following the guy, and I was like, "Yo, this guy's amazing." And you know, when they said like he was going to get with Dre or whatever, I was like, "Okay, this it's going to be interesting." And then he came out with that kind of goofy thing that he was doing, that little goofy shtick that he was running with. I'm like, okay, I guess this works for him, which it did. I also took into account that he's also a white dude. Can't necessarily talk about flipping birds and keys and shit like that and street shit. You know what I mean? He was a white dude speaking from his perspective. Now, overall, at the end of the day, like his first 2-3 albums, I thought they were dope. But I also don't think a lot of his stuff aged well, like at all. You know, like, I don't think he expanded on his. I don't think he expanded too much on his personal growth and just talking about different shit. Like after a while, like I got tired of hearing you killing your ex-wife, and you and your mom need to sit down and work out your issues. Like this shit just sounds weird after a while. You know what I mean? As you get older, it's like, oh man, this is funny. It's like a running gag when you're in a particular space in your life. It's cool. It's like, yo, it's shocking. But then when you're at another space in your life, you're like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? This doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Sometimes I turn on some of his old stuff and listen to it, and I'm like, oh, this is clever. The way this is put together, it's clever. Underneath that, it's like, it's still fucking stupid. Now, overall, Umar saying what he's saying, I stand 10 toes down with that dude because it's like, come for his neck because he's not sucking this dude. Because he's not sucking this guy like the rest of you. Like, look, listen, he does not want to he doesn't feel, and I agree, he feels that, no, he should not be put on this particular pedestal because, look, listen, to be very frank, yes, Eminem's skin color helped him a great fucking deal. There's a number of rappers who were better than him or just as good. It was Cannabis. It was Chino XL, who's a Latino. You know what I mean? I personally like Chino more, but he's brown. You know what I mean? And, you know, he didn't have Dre with him. So Eminem, he, in very many ways, the absolute buffoonery of Vanilla Ice set up a huge opportunity for Eminem. Because he was no Vanilla Ice. Now, if Vanilla Ice was dope, then it would be like, oh, yo, this guy's dope like Vanilla Ice. It wouldn't have been the same motherfucking shocking situation. You know what I mean? So yes, and there's a lot of white people who said they didn't entertain hip hop until they saw Eminem. And I understand you're seeing someone that you can relate to. He was probably talking that goofy drug shit that a lot of white people can motherfucking, you know what I mean, you don't connect with. Because some white motherfuckers, they love their drugs. Don't motherfucking fool you. You know what I mean? So I understand it. But in terms of, I'm going to land the plane right here. What Umar's saying, one of the reasons why I support it so much is, like I told you earlier, Jim, Angela Bassett still ain't got a goddamn Oscar, man. And when we're phenomenal in white spaces and we don't get our just due, we're expected to eat that and keep it pushing. And if he's in a black space and he's not getting the just due that he feels he deserves, well, guess what? Now you know how that feels. Because we've been going through that for decades, centuries.
So,
I'll land a plane on that.
So here's my thing. I'm glad that's where you landed because it's leading me right to where I was going to go with it, right? I don't have a problem with anyone gatekeeping with like any community gatekeeping what they feel is theirs or what they feel like they created, right? I do not have a problem with that. So I have a problem that we, meaning the Black community, don't do a better job with gatekeeping, right? You know, I often bring up K. Michelle breaking into country, which she just finally did. But the girl been crying about that since the beginning of Love and Hip Hop, okay? And they were like, nope, and nope, and nope, and nope, and nope. You know, she had to prove herself as a real artist and have, you know, and she broke through somehow. But with us, we just let everybody to the cookout. And I've seen it up here. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I didn't realize, like, I heard about white worship. I've seen white worship. I didn't see it the way I've seen it until I got on the internet and started doing this for a living. Mm-hmm. That shit blew my mind. I got to see it in its real reality, hyper reality. And I was like, oh, this is not something that people just say. This is a real thing. I mean, we see it on here, you know, shout out to No Saint, but anytime anybody about to drown on this panel, they go yelling at No Saint to come help them. This shit is weird. They do it every fucking time.
And I mean, and I'm talking about people that are real puffed up and barking at us when they're losing a debate. They call for No Saint.
Yeah, I even I've seen when we've critiqued pearly things, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they come running in. No, not pearly things.
Well, we had one up here. But that black man has a white wife, so you know.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, well, at least he's not running around trying to be Malcolm X. He's staying consistent.
There you go. So I want to say this. I gotta throw a cap at you. Hold on.
What?
A little cap.
For what?
I know where you're going with it. I know which one you're throwing it at.
What?
Lily, you know the cap I'm throwing at him.
You didn't know he was white?
Right. You sat here with a straight face and said you didn't know that Eminem was white when you heard him.
No, because he sounded like Nas. He didn't sound like that.
Oh my God. I'm about to calm down. What did you just say?
No, he changed his style. He had this album called Infinite, and he was trying to sound like Nas. And I was like, yo, this is kind of cool. And then after that, you know what I mean, I heard him on Stretching Barbito, and then they got into a conversation with him about being white. I never saw the dude. I never saw him at all.
Yeah, but you acting like this motherfucker sounded like Bobby Caldwell or Casey and the Sunshine Band. Like, he sounds like a white guy. He sounds white. He sounds very white.
He probably sounds like a white guy to you now. This is the 90s. I still got Vanilla Ice in my ear. Okay? I still got the remnants of hearing Vanilla Ice in my ear.
Sir, hold that cap. Hold it.
You could call it a cap all you want. I didn't say. I literally, first of all, when I heard him, if I'm hearing a talented dude, the first thing I'm listening, I'm hearing in my head, I'm right then and there is like, wow, he sounds white. I'm not thinking that. I'm literally sitting there thinking that no white person is really that good unless you're third base. That was it. It's not cap. As a matter of fact, this actually happened at a show. Someone in the industry actually told me at a show. He showed up in Detroit. He was on stage, and there was this dude, and who was rhyming, who was killing it. He had a mask on. He had an actual mask on, and he was killing it. They said when he took his mask on, the whole entire motherfucking spot just went silent. You can believe somebody was that good and white. It actually is. It actually can happen. And so when look at it like this, you could have your own, qualms about it. I'm not gonna sit here and act like the dude wasn't never nice. I'm not doing that.
Who are you talking about right now?
I'm talking about Eminem.
All right, I never said he wasn't talented. I think he's talented.
Okay.
I mean, in general, I'm saying he always sounded white to me. He never sounded black to me. Not even back then. He didn't. Okay. It's not like Bobby Caldwell where we were like, oh shit, he's white. I think that's different. Salute to you, Josh W. So let me say this. Going back to the Oscar and Angela Bassett, here's where I call bullshit on that. There are a lot of amazing, phenomenal white actors that don't have Oscars. And I think people forget that the Oscars is a competition with 5, 6, 7, 8, people from a film getting nominated, then they break that down to 5, then they break that down, to 4. I don't think it's a travesty that Angela Bassett doesn't have an Oscar. I thought it was a travesty when Al Pacino didn't have one. And I thought it was a travesty when Leonardo DiCaprio got nominated 7 times and he didn't get it. And people were beating him where I was like, you really not going to give that Oscar to Leonardo? You really not going to get that Oscar to Al Pacino?
He had to get fucked in the ass by a bear. He had to get fucked in the ass by a bear in order to get an Oscar.
I mean, absolutely not. The bear part, I watched it. The bear part of that is small in comparison to what he put himself through for that film and the phases. And they killed his son in the film, and he's in the water for real. And there's no stuntman. And he's crying. That shit was a phenomenal.
You should have got some pride of that. It shouldn't have required that movie.
Okay,
but still amazing in that movie. He was still amazing.
Yeah, but he was amazing. Right, but here's the thing. My point is that's my point right there. That he should have gotten Oscar. He didn't win so many times. It became a reoccurring joke. So Angela Bassett not having an Oscar to me is not like a travesty. It's like it's
well. If we're going to have that argument, then
I love Angela.
If we're going to have that argument, then from my perspective, and I stand on this, Denzel should have gotten his Oscar when Hurricane came out. It shouldn't have taken as long as Training Day. He was amazing in Hurricane. He was also amazing in Malcolm X. So he should have had his Oscar. The point that I'm making here is that when we're in these spaces,
I don't think you understand how the Oscars work. I don't think you understand how the Oscars work.
Anyway, the point here that I'm making is that when we're in these particular spaces and when we get overlooked and so on, it's basically should be considered water off a duck's ass. He's actually bitter and angry that he feels that he still has something to prove. He's 150 million in. He's gotten every fucking award you can actually get, every accolade, and he's still angry. Miserable life. Eminem, he's still very angry. He's still very bitter.
Well, here's it.
Because of the Dr. Umars in the world do not accept him. A lot of his issues, he struggles a lot with Black acceptance, which is a motherfucker. But it is what it is. That's his business on that, and he has admitted to that. So I don't know.
So here's the thing, but because I don't know, we jumped from the Oscars to Eminem, and I lost my train of thought. What I was saying about the Oscars is that the way it's voted on, it's not about feelings. Like I see. Leonardo should have won a long time ago. Al Pacino should have won. Al Pacino getting nomination after nomination.
I'm not disputing you on that.
So when you say overlooked, why is Angela Bassett overlooked? Because she's Black. So when Leonardo lost and Al Pacino lost, okay, they were overlooked. And they lost.
I use her as an example. First of all, I use her as an example because she's a phenomenal Black talent who, like a number of other phenomenal Black talents, they don't get recognized in their particular field as much as somebody else.
Jennifer Hudson got an Oscar.
What happened?
Jennifer Hudson got an Oscar.
That's
Monique,
cool. That's cool.
Got an Oscar.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. But again, to your point, Al Pacino didn't. I don't think in certain situations. In a lot of situations, we do get overlooked. And the point of the matter is that we're expected to eat it. He should just eat it.
Do you think that Monique is a better actor?
Do you think Eminem has an actual gripe that he's not, doesn't have the the degree of Black acceptance? So that is my point. If he has
I don't think he has a gripe. I don't think he has a gripe. I think he should be honored that he was embraced in a fucking genre that he has no business in. I think he should be honored. I think he should be.
You think he has no business? Why does he have no business in it?
And you know what they should? You know how they could fix this? You know how they could fix this? You know how people turn like that? Let me fix it. Let me fix this. I'm gonna fix it real quick. For all the Black people. I'm gonna fix it right now. You ready? I'm gonna fix it real quick. Watch this. This shit's gonna be fucking amazing. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna fix it real quick.
Oh boy, what we
All
going?
Eminem
What
gotta
we
do,
we going?
all Umar gotta do, all Umar gotta do is hire a private investigator and find out that Eminem is mostly Puerto Rican.
Where you be going with these things, man?
I
Like
see
what?
what she going with this because
Lily,
I see where she going with it. But how you?
quiet. I'll be quiet. Lily, where am I going?
Yeah, because anytime a Puerto Rican person step up and want to be a part of hip hop, they get kicked out quick.
Okay,
Even
and
if they were founders, like even if they're part of the founding bricks, they get kicked out too.
yeah,
But that's
and
but that's
also,
that.
and also, and I'll throw icing on that cake. I'll throw icing on that cake. The reason why he's being upheld is because white worship. That is why
Absolutely.
if it's somebody who's Caribbean, Jamaican,
Absolutely.
Trinidad, they don't count in hip hop, right?
No,
They
you're
don't
absolutely
count.
right.
If it's Puerto Rican, they don't. Y'all were visitors. Y'all weren't there. But the white motherfucker, oh, he's in the top 10. The Sesame Street rapper, he
To the point I made earlier.
corduroy with old boy talking about killing his mama. He's in the top 10. So if Umar wants to win the argument, all he has to do is hire a private investigator and find out, see if Eminem is any parts Puerto Rican. And we'll end the conversation because black people will turn on Eminem. That's all he got to do. Find out he's Puerto Rican, and black people will turn on Eminem like that. But long as Eminem is white, oh, he's one of the top 10. He's one of the top 10.
I
He's
can't
what
disagree with
Black
you.
Thought and Rock him and Big Daddy Kane. Nah, the Eminem is one of the top 10. He's one of the top 10.
I mean, I can't disagree with you on that. That's exactly what it is. I mean, you know, like they said, Justin Timberlake was a great dancer because he was a black, he was a white man who could spin. He could like turn his heel a certain way. Oh, he's amazing! Like nigga, I could do that. Like
It's the white girl in Africa. Dance with the little back.
And I watched
like, they're held to a certain standard when they, and this is crazy as it sounds. This is because of just how phenomenal, black and brown people are when it comes to artistry. No, I'll stand by it. When it comes to artistry, we're a different we're on some different shit. We're connected to the energy of the universe. We're connected to our ancestors. It's some different fucking shit. So seeing somebody who's black and phenomenal at something when it comes to sports and entertainment and artistry, let's keep it real with each other. We'll say, wow, that's amazing. But we still kind of like in our back of our minds, there's some degree of acceptance, particularly if you see a black man about to pick up a bass. You're like, oh, he about to kill this shit. You know what I mean? At least I do. You know what I mean? So, but when you see a white person and this motherfucker pick up the bass, and at least at the very least, he sounds on beat. To most people, it's like, oh, he's incredible. Nah, he's actually average. But white people are not necessarily associated with groove, music. They're not associated with being in connection with the African beat. They're not associated with being great at, artistry that derives from African culture. So if they're okay, of course that's gonna send them phenomenally, because again, there's a bunch of motherfucking Negroes who are just dying to have a blonde haired and blue eyed, talent that they can talk about. However, there's only two. There are a number of motherfucking white bad motherfuckers. Let's just make that clear. George Michael, Phil Collins, and Hall & Oates. Everybody else is questionable.
So let me say this, because I saw you stretch your eyes out when I say he has no business in. So let me clarify.
I was like, damn, like
no, but he's lying. First of all, I'm an extremist, so I always take it too fucking far.
Right,
okay,
right.
So let me explain. Right, to me, it's disrespectful. That's what I'm saying. Let's say I become a samurai. Okay, let's say I become a samurai. Let's say that I become a samurai. Let's say I become a samurai. I'm a Latina woman. Now let's say I become a samurai that's better than a Japanese samurai. Let's just say, rock with me. Let's exaggerate for a minute. I'm better now than a Japanese. I can rival 3 Japanese samurais in a competition because I studied that much. I wouldn't step out of my lane. Okay. I could be the best samurai fucking ever, but I wouldn't fix my face to be bitter about why are they not putting me in the top echelon of Japanese samurais. It's
Oh,
fucking
absolutely.
disrespectful. And
No,
that's how I do Eminem. That's how you have no right to be fucking bitter because you're not even supposed to be here, sir. So go ahead and be the best white rapper there ever was. But I wish I would put that motherfucker seated next to a Black Thought.
I feel you. That's
well, now
that's
that's not even in the conversation.
but no no other
But
no
wait a
other
minute,
culture.
Lily, one thing.
Well, let me jump in
Black
because
Thought.
she hasn't been here for days.
What the
I was
hell,
gonna say,
man? You've been really spicy lately. Damn.
so look, no other race or
Get you a
culture,
hug on your birthday, man. Shit.
no other race
Wait
or
the
culture,
hell.
but the Black and brown race and culture allows this shit around the world. Period. Point blank. I told y'all about the tribe, right? That they can't get to. Period. Right? They won't accept the gifts. They don't want your fruit, your motherfucking bananas. Pound, pound. There you go. Bye, bye. Right? And they've been able to survive for tens of thousands of years because they've gatekeep their shit. Right? And that's the extreme version. But every other community and race and nationality, except the Black and brown community, does that. And then shit gets colonized and then we cry. Neighborhoods, music, you know what I'm saying? Like everything, our style, everything. Everything.
I told you I unfollowed a bunch of them Puerto Rican groups on Instagram because them motherfuckers turned on me because they're these Chinese girls that I told you about them. They're these Chinese girls that live in Puerto Rico and they speak Spanish and they do it with the twang and everything, like that long drawn out twang that Puerto Ricans speak with when they grow up on the island. And I was like, you motherfuckers let anybody in. And then you're crying about it afterwards. And they all turned on me because they insisted that the Chinese girl speaks Spanish better than me. So you're absolutely right. It is the Black and the brown, and it's still white adjacency. It's still because the bitch isn't a brown person. She's not a brown person. Remember, they're adding Asians to that white pot. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So it's because she's not a brown person. So I'm sorry. To me, it's such a plantation fucking mentality. If it's Eminem, yes. If it's a Big Pun, no, he's a visitor. Big Pun, he's a Grammy winner. No, he's a visitor. Big Pun's a visitor. But because it's a fucking white man, y'all are sucking his blonde ball hairs. Said it.
Oh well, this is a bigger conversation here because
Is there?
I think because I'm gonna really go there tonight.
Are you gonna get spicy now?
No, this is a particular topic that needs to be said in the community, and people don't want to talk about it. Eminem is allowed to be the certain rapper that he is because he's white. He's allowed to be clever. He's allowed to be metaphorical. He's allowed to be all of these things, so on and so forth, and be praised for that. Black Thought been doing that.
like seriously, if
Cannabis
a black
been doing Cannabis been doing that. Right, exactly. Like Cannabis been doing that. Nas been doing that, and he motherfuckers call him boring. You know what I mean? Anytime we have an intellectual rapper or a rapper who moves along the signs of a Rakim or anything in that vein, he's deemed as too lyrical, too this, too that. This motherfucker is speed rapping and doing multi-syllable, all kinds of shit. Why isn't he, downgraded and downplayed for being too lyrical? Because he's white. And when you're white, you're allowed to be intelligent or at least create the perception of intelligence. When you're black and you're doing that kind of shit, you're considered other or considered alternative, and that shouldn't be the case. When you're black and a rapper, you're supposed to talk that goon shit all the fucking time. And I always had an issue with that. And that's one of the things. If anything, that's one of my main gripes about Eminem. It's not necessarily his fault. It's really the fault of black people who put him on a pedestal. Because if he was black, trust me, he'd be considered too lyrical.
Oh, so I want to address this comment because it's interesting here, right? Michael Jai White, who I'm not a fan of, but Michael Jai White said he's better than Bruce Lee. They shut him down, right?
He said that shit.
Okay, remember he said he could beat. He said he could beat Bruce Lee.
They shut that shit down so fast.
Oh, the Asian community tore his asshole up to his neck. Okay, up to his cerebellum. They tore him a new asshole from his asshole up to his cerebellum. Okay, so going back to what Dr. Umar Johnson said, he said no other ethnicity or any, you can't go over there and do that shit. You can't go over there and do that shit. Now, because he concentrates on black people as he should, he doesn't know that it's the same in the brown community as well. In the brown community, you could go and take over some shit if it's cute enough, right? So Latins suffer from the same shit. The white adjacency, the white worship. It's the same fuck. It was like, oh my God. It's the same shit, right? You can't do that anywhere else. You see, the Asians almost took his head off. They almost took his head off. But again, the white worship in our communities is prevalent. So Eminem is a god. He's not, to me. I wouldn't, if Eminem walked in somewhere, if I was eating at a restaurant or I was out here in Vegas and fucking, you know what I mean, at a restaurant and Nobu and he walked out, I wouldn't even look at him.
You're speaking of white rappers at a restaurant. Guess what just popped in my head because you just said that? I waited on this person at the very last job I ever worked at. I waited tables and I waited on Bubba Sparks out of all people.
Oh, there you go. Well, Eminem's better than Bubba Sparks. There, fair enough.
He was a nice guy, very nice guy.
That's not a metric. You're better than Bubba Sparks. Let's just call it what it is.
I like this.
I mean, that's
I like this song. I like the hit.
I like Miss New Booty. That's my song.
Oh no, that wasn't it.
He had a cute look.
Timberland was playing the guitar. Which one?
Little yang 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 around the house.
Oh, well, first of all, and another thing, let's just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger Woods is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
In his profession. You think white people gonna put him above Jack Nicholas?
No.
You think they're gonna really put him at the top of the food chain where it's all said and done? They gonna grab a motherfucker. They gonna fudge some numbers. They gonna do whatever they need to do. They tried to get him up out. They tried to line his ass up and get him up out.
I still say they're lining him up.
Up out of there real quick. So, but guess what? Every other culture has a deep-rooted sense of self and self-worth and respect to where they gatekeep their culture. Black people, motherfuckers, they just let anybody in this motherfucker because there's just this sense of they want this, I don't know what it is, some sick sort of need to be loved and together with other races. There's got to be some pride, man. And that's why I do roll with Umar on this shit, because it's like this dude standing 10 toes down on something like, yo, I'm staying on code with this one. Like, nah, we ain't, well, you motherfucking white motherfuckers coming out of nowhere, you know what I mean, bashing this dude for what? He does not accept your champion. Mm-hmm. He does not accept that. He's not willing to put him in front of the hundreds of other, you know what I mean, black entertainers and black poets and black, you know what I mean, geniuses that ironically none of you probably know of or heard of. Motherfuckers think that, honestly, most of these white people think that rap happened when Eminem showed up. I'm serious.
I'm at that point where I'm starting to think that too, because it's like the people's, like, I don't think anyone on this panel is denying that the man is talented, right?
Absolutely. But here,
like, if that motherfucker put the mask back on that you were talking about?
Right.
Because when he had it, he wasn't who he is. But when he took that shit off, that's when he was propelled, right? But if that motherfucker kept that mask on and he had to compete against everybody that was out at that time,
he would never have.
And even if he's as good as these motherfuckers are saying, their ass wouldn't support him. Let's talk about that. They wouldn't.
There's very few people that have people under pressure in the rap game like that. Like Rakim had people under pressure. Motherfucking Kane had people under pressure. G-Rap had motherfuckers under pressure. You know what I mean? Nas, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, M ain't really have nobody under pressure. He really had nobody under pressure like that. He exploded Benzino. Because you know he was a white person.
And I'm gonna I don't care what nobody says. And I got backup because even Star from the Star Report said this. MGK dragged him. The reason why, in my opinion, and I heard both of them. I when they went against each other, I was like, I'm gonna listen to both of them. First of all,
and not be biased.
And not be biased, because I was like, yo, because I love fucking lyrical masters. So whoever gets it gets it. You know what I'm saying? Whoever gets it, you know what I'm saying, right? So I listened to both of them, and it sounded like Eminem was the older guy that was out of touch. And I was like, you lost your step. Not only that, MGK is younger. I laughed and laughed. I used to listen to MGK's clap back like you listen to a good song. Beyond like, oh, this is against Eminem. I liked the record. Okay, I liked he was like Oscar the Grouch. Like, to me, he dragged Eminem. However, they're going to choose Eminem. Why? Because more people like Eminem. And that to me is bias. I'm like, listen to both of them lyrically. Take away who they are and whose ball you sucking. In my opinion, MGK dragged them. And I was surprised to hear Star say the same thing yesterday. He was like, MGK, this is a connoisseur of music. Star, forgive me, I'm a little Puerto Rican girl with the flag in the back. Star has been in radio and in hip hop. He's a hip hop historian, and he said it. And you know he ain't biased. You know, Star. How it is.
I mean, it's I heard it. I heard MGK's record, and I'm not gonna lie. Youngblood got off a couple of lines. I was actually shocked. I was like, "Oh shit!"
I was shocked too.
What I mean? He got off a couple of jabs. I was like, oh, "Okay, maybe this might be something interesting." You know what I mean? I'm glad that you said that, because I felt the same way when Cannabis dropped second round knockout, but motherfuckers ran with LL. But at the time, LL was at the height of his fucking powers. You know what I mean? Even though I loved Cannabis's record, I knew he was done. He's I mean, L has too many. It's just too much. He's got the longevity. He's got the chicks on his side.
He's likable.
He's got the seniority. He had a movie out, 2 TV shows. I was like, you're not beating this, bro.
And that's how people, and that's why you need like judges like who can take themselves out of it emotionally. Right. I can sit there and judge, because I was like, oh, I know Eminem about to kill this kid. And then I heard it and I was like, it sounded like he threw everything in the kitchen sink on a track and was just hoping that he was. And I was like, you do know you're not them one-liners, they're not hitting like they used to. Like this kid, he got you on this, but everybody's like, oh, Eminem, oh. And I was like, all right, y'all not listening. You're not really, really listening.
Well, no, this is the thing, and I've said it a few times on the show. There's a really big difference between an actual like MC rapper and someone who is a battle rapper. Two different things. Battle rappers don't know how to compose good songs. They don't know how to structure good songs, right? He raps like a battle rapper. It's two different things.
Lily, you're absolutely right. I told people that one of the reasons why he didn't grow as an artist is because he wasn't taught how to write songs. A lot of that shit is just battle rap he was doing.
Yes.
Because he comes from the battle scene. So he wasn't like, It wasn't. He didn't have the pressures of like, somebody like Cannabis who comes from the battle scene. He has to have the pressures of making a record because it's like you black.
And he didn't do it.
You know what I mean?
His album.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the first Cannabis album. Horrible. It was absolutely terrible.
This is the song I like from Bubba Sparks. I'm gonna play a few seconds. This is the song I like, Lee, from Bubba Sparks. This is my shit.
I don't even remember half his shit.
This is my shit, yeah.
There's like 2 songs I like.
Don't hear nothing.
I know what that one is, but that wasn't the one I was thinking about.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
Oh yeah, that is it. That's it. Yeah.
Much improved. Yo, I'm dropping this This is Bubba's moment. I put my mother on it. I said my mama, it seems as if I love her, don't it? So buckle up, cause it's gonna get bumpy. I call my girl with business, and my promise. That Bubba talk, got you open wide. I give a outside the booth, but
Bubba about to get us. He about to get all this stream. At least I need that coin, Jen.
But until that day,
actually, Dave.
What's the chorus?
I can barely hear it. You have to send me that shit. I can barely hear it. You have to send me.
Timbaland was on the track. That song was fire. I used to run that in the fucking 90s.
Yeah, he was signed to Timbaland.
Day, hip hop doesn't belong to FBA, but it belongs to the Jews. Anyway. Since we always end up with the Jews.
Might as well bring them on there.
Might as well just seems like a perfect segue. Seemed like a perfect segue.
Ron, you brought the Jews out too early.
We're barely an hour in. I was like, yeah, it seems like the perfect time. We're gonna get there anyway.
Go ahead and bring them on there.
We're gonna get there anyway. So let's just get it out of the way. Let's just get this shit out the
way. I gotta get a Mazel Tov bell. I gotta get me a Mazel Tov bell. Oh my goodness!
Early 2000s. Sometimes I get the early 2000s, 90s mixed up.
So just to reiterate, unfortunately, the harsh, cold truth for all of us, hip hop connoisseurs, lovers, and aficionados, hip hop babies, it doesn't belong to the people. It does belong to Mazel Tov.
It's been sold a long time ago.
And someone who comes from New York, born and raised in New York. Yes, I am a quote unquote anchor baby. Someone who comes from that space. It wasn't just FBA that contributed to hip hop. Latins, immigrants, children of immigrants, they contributed to the culture as well. So, FBA didn't just throw the whole culture on their back. FBA didn't just throw the whole culture on their back. And yes, they needed white folks actually also to get involved too. Because who the hell was going to fund that?
And Crazy Legs took it around the globe.
Absolutely.
He took it around the globe. Absolutely. He put it in film. So
it was a collective effort of a lot of cultures and a lot of faces. Anyway, but
yeah. Scam Leckley, welcome to the panel. What say you?
How's it going? Y'all can hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Listening to a little bit of conversation, and then I heard unfortunately, I heard Umar talking. It's really not his fault for talking. It's my fault for listening to him in the first place. But let's
you don't agree with
him? Okay. Let's talk about Umar. 11, 12 years, single mom's money, banging single moms, made single moms, ain't no school. But Eminem. Was he right about
this, though?
Huh?
Was he right about this, though?
Is he ever right about anything?
Well, some people are. Whether I like him or not. Whether I like him or not.
This particular situation.
People I can't stand, but their ass be right about some shit, even when it's about my ass. Because sometimes they be talking about me, I'd be like, well, damn, they right.
The fact that I have to mention Umar's name, the fact that I had to mention his name, I got to dust him off just to get started.
Okay.
12 years running off, banging single moms, getting their money from taking the money from single mom households and spending it at the buffet, and banging single moms and spending it on single moms, stalking single moms. That's the work of the Klan. So for him to go and say anything about the black community, why is he tearing it down? And he's talking about Eminem didn't build a school to hospital. Where's his school? He didn't build one either. And actually, he's taking funding that could be going to tutoring some other things that got to do with the school. As far as Eminem, here's the deal. There's a microphone. You go, someone else goes. If you win, you win. It don't matter what the race is. And the judging of all this, like, well, he's not so lyrical, educational. Don't nobody care about that. My favorite rapper was MC Hammer. He was an entertainer. And he actually did positive things. What did they do? Trash his name. But it was the first one to go diamond and talk about building a black community. But they don't want to talk about that because somehow he was wrong. And they trashed him for the very work and things that he actually did do. Trashed his name. Eminem. He grabbed the mic and he competed and he won. So the people say, well, it's because he was white because of it. Don't nobody say that when Tupac and Biggie and all them sell a whole bunch of albums and white people buy them. They don't say, hey, man, I don't want y'all buying my music. So it's cool to integrate when it comes to the money coming in. But then when you grab the microphone and you get smoked by Eminem, something's wrong. And see, if he wasn't black, if he was Puerto Rican, if he was Asian, you see the community. No, he grabbed the mic, he competed, and he won. I'll say he's the second best. That's just my opinion. Tupac was the greatest. Eminem number 2. Just lyricist. That's just an opinion now.
So I think that you're
Okay.
no saint over there looking like Justin Timberlake stunt double. We see you, white chocolate. So I think I heard everything you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the very definition of conflating. I think you're conflating, right? Because a Chinese restaurant is going to open up in the South Bronx where I live. Puerto Ricans, black people, we love that Chinese food. We're going to go get that Chinese food. They're going to take our money. However, none of us have the right to tell or dictate culturally how they make that food. So just because we buy it doesn't mean that we can go in there and tell them how to make that food or you understand what I'm saying? You're conflating. Like, yes, white people buy rap. Most of them buy rap. Most of them got fucking money to buy films, right? But that doesn't mean that it's an open door for Eminem to be number one just because white people buy records. It doesn't mean that that's the pass for him to be number one. Get what I'm saying? And I'm not one of the people. What?
I would say yes, it is.
Yes, what is?
The Olympic. I don't care if it's open public, like YouTube content or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's open season, grab the mic, sign the deal, drop the lyrics, sell the albums, and you win.
I love the
he
way
competed.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
Wait 1 second. He won. They lost.
No, here's the problem here. He's trying to sit here and actually tell everyone that he exploded off of merit. There are no meritocracies, particularly in the entertainment business. Now, he did from being white in the entertainment business. Just like there are a number of girls. Wait 1 second. Just like there are a number of girls who aren't that great as singers, but they look exceptionally well. They benefit from pretty privilege. So to some degree, he benefited. Not even to some degree, he really did benefit from privilege. I know I've met tons of white people who said they did not fuck with rap until Eminem showed up, and that's the only person that they actually listen to when it comes to rap. People who are actually in their 50s and so on. Wait 1 second.
All the rest of them run because they were black.
Wait 1 second, sir. Now, people are actually in their 50s and so on and so forth. They're connecting with this person because they're seeing someone who looks like them. That person off of RIP is going to get a head start. And that is the overall point. And the fact that Umar said, regardless of what he did, and I agree that I have not seen the school and so on and so forth. I've said a number of things. Regardless of what he did, he doesn't have to sit there and bow down to fucking Eminem. The fuck?
If there's a
he's not.
microphone in place,
He's
yes,
not.
you might
No,
want
no,
to
no.
go
He's
down.
not. He's not compelled to do that. I'm not compelled to do that. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, like seriously, like
No.
when you think about this, right? In any genre around the world, right? We can go from classical to K-pop to anything, right? You think if I'm just as talented as any of them, you think they just gonna let me waltz up in there and take their spot and call me number one? Why is it we're the only race in the world who has a problem with gatekeeping our own shit? I'm curious. I just want to know the thought process behind it.
So it's our own. More than 50% funded by white people, but it's our own now. Okay. So you can't. I mean, it's either one or the other. It's ours.
Again, I think there's a lot of conflation. You're conflating. No, say, let's take a look at you. Do this for me, okay? Do this for me. Thank you.
There you go.
I think you're conflating. Things can be colonized. It doesn't mean that culturally it's not yours, right? We're talking about power dynamics now, right? So if you had a child, right? This is your baby. You had a child. I happen to be someone that's financially in a better place to feed your child than you. So I take your child, right? And I feed your child better than you fed your child. Are you no longer biologically attached to that child because I could feed it better than you? You're no longer attached to that child because I could feed it better. I could feed it steak and you was giving it burgers.
When the kid is 18, the kid makes that decision. How far are we going to prove a point?
Yeah, splitting hairs. Just splitting hairs.
Listen,
You get the point. You get the point. Like,
This is what we're doing.
A follower of Eminem. If he's really a follower of Eminem, he can contend and he can actually concede to the fact that Eminem actually said that his white privilege contributed to his success.
He grabs the mic.
So if he's willing to acknowledge that, but you feel that a meritocracy is the reason why he actually exploded, then that's a little.
No, you know what? You're right. Michael Jordan had height privilege.
If he's willing to be pragmatic,
because this analogy. Thank you, Christopher Higdon, because this analogy is better than what I said. Maybe this is less complex.
Right.
Christopher Higdon says that's like saying Taylor Swift is as talented as Whitney Houston because they have the same number one singles, right? So if Whitney Houston has the same amount of number one singles as Taylor Swift, are you going to say that Taylor Swift has the same skill that Whitney Houston has because they have the same number ones?
Like as a musician, I can judge as far as musical skill. A lot of people don't qualify to do that. I'm not saying to just say it, but the main thing I'm going off of, who sold the most albums? Marketing and all that got to do with it, but make yourself more marketable. There is a winner. Eminem won. All the other stuff of why, because of the
what did he win though? What did he win? What are you talking about? What did he win? 2
albums sold 10 million copies. So the only people who can say I did a better job, you can throw Nelly, you can throw Outkast, Tupac. Very few people.
But Vanilla Ice went platinum. Britney Spears went platinum. It doesn't mean that
they can rap.
Mean that he can rap. Doesn't mean that Vanilla Ice can rap. He went platinum as well.
Hey, Vanilla. Hey, I'll say it like this. I was 10 when Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby came out. I was hunting for that song for a month. I didn't know he was white. I didn't care. That song freaking rocked.
I think we have
Ice Ice Baby rocked. I don't care if it was purple.
It rocked. It did rock. We all love it. I still play it. I still play it. However, is he as talented as Black Thought?
As who?
As Black Thought.
That answers the question. Who?
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We're having two different conversations. He's talking about record sales. We're talking about.
I'm talking about winning.
Two different things.
Yeah, it's totally different.
I'm talking about winning and losing.
Yeah.
100 million copies, you won. If you live in your mom's basement, you shouldn't buy your album. You
lost. We're talking about artistry. Umar was discussing artistry. See, the fact that Hammer is your guy says everything that we need to say.
There's your community guy right there. There you go.
I mean, the fact that you
wait a minute, Hammer was
that's your community guy.
You know who I was? You know who I was a fan of at that time when Hammer was doing what he does? G-Rap. Yeah, I was a fan of G-Rap.
Exactly. Who?
I was a fan of Rakim. I was a fan.
So
Exactly.
we're hip hop heads. You're like the radio
You're
stuff.
not a head. You're not a hip hop head. You don't know about stretching Bob.
No.
You don't know about hip hop culture. You don't know about any of those.
I don't care about hip hop culture.
We're discussing.
We see. We know. We get it now. We get it now.
People want to be
You're
entertained.
going to go with the guy. You're going to go with the guy at all times who blows up, who's a hack, who does. It doesn't matter.
That
as
everybody
long as
else
sold
likes.
10 million records. That's your guy. That's
I'm
your
gonna
dude,
go
and that's fine.
Okay.
People like
I'm
you
talking about
have
winning
a
and
place.
losing.
No, we get it.
People
You
like
win.
you have
If
a
we're talking about
place.
your conversation, you win.
I'm talking about winning and
artistry.
losing. You don't
That's
stand
what I'm
on
saying.
artistry.
You
There's
win
probably a
because
reason for
we're
it.
having two
Absolutely.
different
We're talking about
conversations. So in
artistry.
your conversation, you win.
Entertaining.
Yeah, we're talking about artistry.
This isn't an art business.
That's what
It's
we're
an
You're talking about
entertainment.
We're talking about
You win.
culture and artistry. You're who? As a matter of fact, you say you're a musician, correct? Wait 1 second, Lily. You say you're a musician, correct? Who are your top 3 or 4 musicians that
Why?
you look up to?
Why?
I'm asking
He
you.
I
already
guess
said it.
let's just stick with MC
So
Hammer.
you don't have
Okay,
any
so-
obscure musician who's artistic.
Here's the thing. We're gonna
I'm gonna
get.
stick with MC Hammer.
Okay, look, one mic. We're
Okay.
having two different conversations. It's already been established. He is acknowledging winners by way of record sales. That is fine. Okay. The other conversation we were having was artistry. Absolutely. Of course, Black Thought is a better rapper than Vanilla Ice. Of course, we know that. But he's saying that Vanilla Ice wins over Black Thought because he sold more records. And we have to acknowledge that that fan exists.
Right. Exactly. And it's okay.
Absolutely.
It's a different conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
I can make it even easier. Here's the deal. Me and the dude above me can
make it
spit
easy
all.
for us.
It's real easy. We can
Yeah.
go in a freestyle battle. You spit 48 bars, slobbering on the microphone, foaming up at the mouth like them whack East Coast rappers do. All this fake
Right.
knowledge. And then I can say 2 things that's funny. Who wins? I win. Because I entertain the audience. I gave them what they wanted.
Depending on where we are. Because if I take you to South Bronx and do that shit, you might get shot.
If they laughing, right. Sore losers. That's what it is.
80s. No, if it was
I
the
watch the
80s
crowd.
if it was the 80s and I brought you to a
win.
certain club and you try that shit, you might have got fucked up. And that's the real
See,
talk. You know
that's what
I
you
mean?
call
It
sore
depends on
losing
where
right
you are.
there.
Now, if you're in Omaha, who gives a shit?
See, that's sore losing
yes,
right there.
You'd win.
That's called sore
I'd
losing.
be the absolute loser. I'd be the absolute
That's
loser.
all I
in that
ask. You would lose, right?
In that
If I rock the
environment,
crowd,
yes,
no
in
matter what I
Omaha,
do,
in Omaha, who gives a
I
shit,
win.
Nebraska, I would lose under those circumstances.
that's why
Absolutely.
East Coast rappers got smoked by the West and the South. That's why Eminem smoked all them rappers.
We got
Okay.
They worried
No,
about being so good. He entertained.
We
He
got
gave them what they wanted.
Got it. No, Saint, what were you going to say?
So listen, there is absolutely an advantage for anybody in a genre that they're not supposed to be, but especially white people. I would say especially white just because of the population. Like, it's like, you know, right now, as a white guy, there's a best running back in the league right now is a white guy, and you kind of like, oh shit, that's odd. He's fast. I remember his dad playing, so he's got those genes, you know. So it's a novelty, and so you're not used to seeing it, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of rooting for, even though it's illogical, right? I mean, it's not on my team. It's not on my guy's team. But so yeah, there's a built-in for Eminem. There is a built-in for the people who would not normally buy rap albums. They're like, oh, just like Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice, it was similar, you know. That beat that he's talking about was a Queen beat. That was Under Pressure by Queen and
which has its own audience connected to it, which is at the sample itself has its own audience.
It was a sample. But I'm curious on the parameters of this. Are we strictly talking about music entertainment? Because are we talking about in general cultural things that were built by people that were kind of co-opted by other people? Because, you know,
also the latter.
So we're only talking about hip hop.
I was just talking winning and losing. That's it. Winning and losing.
I get what you're saying. So monetarily, he wins because he made more money than a lot of other guys. But that doesn't always reflect who's the better rapper or who's the better this or who's the better that.
Absolutely.
I like Eminem. He's fine. I like Rakim. But I would never rank. Listen, I said this before. It doesn't matter if Eminem's number 10,000. He's number 10,000 in the world of 7 billion people. That's pretty good. So, you know, what is he, top 20? I don't know. The top 20 is really good if he's number 20, you know? So I don't know. I just don't get caught up on, it's all opinion based, and everybody's going to have a different opinion about who's number one.
Look, I'm no saying I totally understand what you're saying, because at the end of the day, you know, while everyone is admiring the beauty of a Mona Lisa, there's always going to be a guy who cracks a fart joke, you know what I mean, while we're doing that. And he's going to be the one that's memorable, and he's entertaining, and that's going to be seen as something like that has merit, and it does.
Well, there's something to be said there. Yeah, there is some. Listen, there are. You know this, Haran, and the other man down there. I'm not sure. I didn't catch.
Yeah, we don't get names.
Yeah, you're a musician as well, and you have to know that there are plenty of supreme talented musicians that never get heard of or never make millions.
That would be me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, but there's something to be said to be able to be marketable to the masses. That's not necessarily easy either. You know, when people say, "Oh, that listen to that song sucks," but everybody likes it, and they're making millions of dollars. There's something to be said about that too. It might absolutely. They might not be the best, but they're just marketable to the mass.
Absolutely, but there's also something to be said about one-hit wonders. You know what I mean? They made a particular record that connected with a bunch of people, but after that, when it was time to actually follow up with something, they didn't have the goods because, well, you know, they just didn't have the ability, the talent.
Kung Fu Fighter.
Hey, what's wrong with that?
Kung Fu Fighter, and then he
being a one-hit wonder.
Kung Fu Dancer.
The top-selling single, top-selling rap single is "Won't There It Is."
If that is something that you can live with and you can maintain with, hey, great. Some people never hit strike gold.
Yes, better one than zero.
Absolutely.
I'll take that one.
Absolutely. There's a ton of one-hit wonders out there who are living off of those royalties, man. I ain't mad at them. I would have managed but I would never say that person is fucking Jimi Hendrix. I would never say that person, you know what I mean, is Malmsteen.
Ron, this Christopher Higgins says, like, pretty much with that logic, that means Shaggy is greater than Bob Marley.
I mean, Bob Marley, absolutely.
Give me Shag. I'll take Shaggy.
We know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
We get it.
That Boombox was a stupid song, but that shit rocked. I can't lie. It was so dumb, but it rocked. 1995 was one of the best songs, but he won. That's just what it is. Okay,
so let's play a little bit of Dr. Umar Johnson's reaction to the reaction of him opining on Eminem. Let's hear a little bit of this, and I'll fast forward through it because he's a little long in the beginning, so people can see what it is we're talking about to begin with.
The reason I'm going live tonight is I want to address the Neanderthal nation. I'm going live tonight. I want to address the Neanderthal nation. Oh, yes, I do. I want to talk black to the Caucasians who have been stalking me for the past 48 hours. I want to talk to the Neanderthal nation tonight, the Caucasian community. You have been cyber stalking me for 48 hours, and I don't mind. I don't mind. You can continue to do it as long as you want, because I don't care if the opinion of every Caucasian is to the contrary. I say what I mean to say, and I stand on everything I say 10 toes down. But let me say this to the Caucasian community. Let me say this to the Caucasian community. When I look at your anger, when I look at your rage, when I look at the responses from America's Caucasian community over this issue of Eminem being the GOAT of hip hop, and let me say this, I have nothing personal against Eminem, My comments on the Joe Budden podcast had nothing to do with Mr. Marshall Mathers personally. And I want Mr. Marshall Mathers to understand that Dr. Umar Ifatunde harbors no personal ill will towards you. This is not personal. This is business. This is not personal. This is business. Eminem, I want you to hear me, young man. This is not personal. This is business. You are a talented musician, lyricist, producer. You seem like you are an okay guy. You've never done nothing to me, and you've never done anything that I personally witnessed to be worthy of condemnation. So my comments are not personal. They apply to any non-African. This is about business, the business of protecting the integrity of African culture. I said my comments on the Joe Budden podcast was about business, not personal. The business of protecting the sacredness, authenticity, and integrity of African culture. I said that no non-African can ever be the best of anything in African culture. You can't be the best cook of African food. You can't be the best rapper of African hip hop. You can't be the best singer. You can't be the best priest of African culture. Nothing we create can a non-African be the best at. First of all, it makes absolutely no sense at all. I don't even see how an African can come to the conclusion that a non-African can be the best at anything when we are the oldest people. We are the first people, and we are the most numerous people. So when you say a non-African is better at X, Y, and Z than a member of the race, you're saying that this person can do this better than 2 billion Africans. Or you're saying not only can they do it better than 2 billion Africans on the planet, you're saying they can do it better than all of the billions of Africans that have ever walked the planet Earth. You know, and I know that that is absolutely ridiculous. You know, and I know that that is absolutely ridiculous. You know, like I know, that that is absolutely ridiculous. And from a cultural integrity perspective, this is not about Mr. Marshall Mathers. I don't have nothing personal against that man. But from a cultural integrity perspective, haven't they stolen enough from us? Haven't they appropriated enough from us? Haven't they robbed, steal, killed, enslaved, lynched, miseducated, mass incarcerated, politically dominated us enough that you mean to tell me that after 404 years, you got Black people running around playing defense attorney and cheerleader for white folks? You got Black people running around after 404 years playing defense attorney and cheerleader. The fact that you got Black people arguing for a white man to be considered the greatest of all time in an African art form speaks to how psychologically ill we are as a race of people. Woo! After all we have been through in this country, you got black men running around playing defense attorney for white folks, advocating for Marshall Mathers. Nothing against Eminem personally, but for a Black person to go out of their way to fight for any white person to be considered the greatest of all time in an art form that should be sacred to our community, our culture, and our people is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But let me address the Caucasian community, because I've been called racist probably 1,000 times today, and I don't mind. I absolutely do not mind, because there's a few things we know. After 1,000 years of direct interaction with Caucasians, there's a few things we do know. One thing we know about you is you're not honest about anything if it jeopardizes your power and control of other groups. Let me say that one more time. I'm talking to all you Caucasians who saw fit to have a temper tantrum on my timeline. I'm talking to all you Caucasians who saw fit to flood my inbox. I'm talking to all you Caucasians. I wanted to address the hypocrisy
It's on repeat.
of perpetrators of racism who call the victims racist. I wanted to address that.
My apology.
But I've been informed that members of the Neanderthal Nation have been reporting me. So I'm not going to be able to go in the way that I wanted to go in. I really wanted to expose the hypocrisy of people who have more energy for a conversation on who's the greatest rapper than they do for protecting Black people from the police. I really wanted to deal with the hypocrisy of these Caucasians who have so much negative energy for being told they have no business exploiting Black culture. But we don't see that same energy for giving Black people reparations. We don't see that same energy for justice for Black people. We don't see that same energy with making sure African people get their fair share of a country that our ancestors built with their bare hands. See, if they cared as much about police brutality as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much about police brutality against Black people as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much about mass incarceration reform as they cared about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much for Black women being sexually trafficked as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, we would have solved a lot of our problems by now. Calling somebody racist when your people are the greatest purveyors of racism and genocide in the history of humanity. Calling someone racist when your people are the greatest purveyors of racism and genocide in the history of humanity, I find it quite hypocritical. I find it quite hypocritical. Brothers and sisters, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, 13th annual Kwanzaa tour. And it'll probably be the last because next Kwanzaa will be at FDMG. This is probably my 13th and final Kwanzaa tour because next Kwanzaa will be at FDMG.
Okay. So we heard his reasoning. We heard his why. We heard his reason. Okay. I'll pass the mic. I have my thoughts.
I'd like to say some things. Very flawed thinking. I mean, is very interesting, but he's got very flawed thinking. First of all, by his reasoning, LeBron James wouldn't be the greatest basketball player in the world right now because basketball was made by Canadians. So he's saying you can't be the best if it's made by other people, it's cooked by other. That's flawed reasoning. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not saying Eminem's the best. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, and another thing, there's 2 billion Africans, so you can't be. Listen, there's 10 people to buy the Powerball, or you buy 10 Powerball tickets. I buy one. I can still win the Powerball ticket. I can still win the Powerball. It only takes one Einstein out of a group to be the best at something. So it's just a lot of flawed reasoning he has. But you know, he's preaching to his followings, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just found that really he does that a lot. He throws a lot of shit at the wall, and it's real. I can just pick up. To me, I'm like, oh God, that's horrible logic, but that is what it is.
At the end of the day, he's being attacked by a race of people who had a direct hand in Eminem's success. They could have been sitting there and having an argument about who was better, Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, or Hammer. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have gotten as upset. They got upset because someone didn't kiss the ass of their white god. Regardless of what he did, regardless of what he's done or has not done in terms of building schools and so on and so forth, that's a completely different discussion that we need to have. But I'm not sitting back and riding with No Caucasian. When a brother is sitting there with his back straight, actually standing up to a group of white people. This is not no buck breaking shit that I'm gonna sit back and watch. I don't care what issues I have with him. I'm built a certain way, and I'm not sitting back and watching any black man get torn apart by any white congregation. I'm not built that way.
I'm calling dust. Because it's all about standing up against this wicked white man that done stole something some kind of way. So honestly, NWA, all them artists, when they standing on stage and it's 90% white, when you in Kentucky, Omaha, Nebraska, where's the standing up then? Hey, sorry, we're not gonna rap to y'all because we don't want your money. No, it's bending over, honestly. Hey, sir, y'all paying tickets, sir? Yeah, we's rap for you now, sir. So I mean, you can't have it both ways.
You're actually not following. You're actually not
You
following.
can't have it both ways.
You're not following the point
he's conflating. He's really and let me tell you something. This ain't even a diss.
No, the thing is this.
Hold on, you are stellar. I've never seen conflating this good. Like you are stellar.
No, he's really He's really good at it. He really is.
You are stellar. It's
You're
like
correct. I am conflating. I sure am.
So, okay, Lily, did you have something to say?
Who, me?
No, my brain is trying to unfry right now.
Okay. I know what I'm doing up here. Well, we got.
I'll see you around. Let's just call it a night.
Fall back. I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you so much. Hit that like and subscribe. Tomorrow is my birthday, bitches. Hit the Cash App on the block of Jen. Tonight was fire. We went with one topic. This one took over. I already made the thumbnail, so I got the Umar Eminem thumbnail already in the chamber. I'll shoot it out. All right. Look, Abby wants to hug you. Hug No Saint. There you go. Anybody love for No Saint? There you give him a hug.
Thank you.
Hit that like and subscribe. Hit my Cash App is scrolling on the bottom. Tomorrow's my birthday. I will do a birthday stream. Watch for my community tab because I don't know if I'm gonna do it before or after I go out, but I will show my face and say hello on my birthday because I love, believe it or not, spending time with you little fuckers. So we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us tonight. Chat, you guys were on fire too. Thank you for all the points that you dropped. Yeah, and hit that like and subscribe on your way out the door for mama. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Christopher Higdon, for your comments as well. I will do that. I will enjoy my birthday. All right, guys. Good night. Shit. I see a lot of people in here. You're gonna have to rewind. Good night, guys. Fall back.